First time going live from my business page. And if you want to be notified, well, if you want to jump on my live streams and you are not, you haven't liked my page yet, well, on Facebook, you'll need to jump on and like my Facebook page and get notifications of when I'm going live, because I am doing my live streams from my business page now. So lots and lots of changes going on. That is just one tiny little one. Alright, so I've shared those. Done. So hey Mark, for Instagram and Facebook Live happening. I enjoy doing both live streams when I can, so welcome. My name is Hannah. I'm an intuitive healer for celebrities. If you don't know me yet, hi. Let me know if this is your first time live, and if you've got any questions, please comment below and I shall respond to them, whether you're watching this live or not. So there's lots of change going on in the world, and I really wanted to speak to that, as well as, you know, just change in general. Like, yeah, there's huge changes going on the planet right now with, you know, like there's like the bushfires right now in California. There's just been the hurricane go through the Miami and all the southern islands, and you know, and there's all this stuff like everywhere in the world there's something going on, right? And I think it's just important that we understand, you know, that we are energetic beings and we do feel things on a, you know, a world level, especially if you're a sensitive light worker being, healer. If you resonate with being an empath or a sensitive person in general, then you are going to be feeling these sorts of earth energies, and it's quite normal to be feeling a little bit shaken up. So I wanted to talk about not only just that, just going to put this here so I can see the comments. So not only just with, you know, like global earth changes, but in your own life as well, coping with change, yeah? And then also helping children cope with change, okay? And there's kind of 4 key steps that I want to just go through to help you cope with change, to help you move through change, to help you respond to change. Because the thing with us being human beings is that we don't really like change that much. Some people don't like being in one spot, but some people don't. Most people are resistant to change. So a big part of, you know, like moving through or coping with any change is understanding the grief cycle. Now, I know that I've spoken about this in the past, and I've written an article about it, and I teach it in my courses, and the reason that I want to share about it just briefly is because when we understand that any form of change triggers the grief cycle, it helps us to go through the emotions. I don't know if quick is the right word, but when we can understand what's going on, it helps ourselves to be more gentle with ourselves, to support ourselves, and therefore be more compassionate and help other people as well. So the first stage is is shock, yeah? So something happens, we're like, oh my God, what is going on? And then the grief will, you know, and then after that, it kind of hits into, okay, so we've got shock, and then we've got almost like denial, yeah? It's like this point of, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening, and oh, if I did that differently, that wouldn't have happened, and, you know, like, if I, you know, it's like the bargaining, like, you're trying to reason and, like, you know, basically change what's going on, because you're like, I can't believe this is happening, if I'd just done this differently, that wouldn't have happened, or, you know, and it's also in the, you know, still in the kind of shock denial stage. It's like that point of, you know, say with the hurricanes or the fires in the US or everything else that's going on in the world, it's that point of not, knowing what to do about it. It's like, wow, this is so huge, like, and you just, it's almost like a powerlessness or a helplessness, yeah, of not being able to do anything about it, yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people do, Emily. So Emily says, I find myself easily disconnecting from myself when in shock. Definitely, you know, like, and that's quite normal. Like, people disassociate from their body because they just don't want to feel the pain. Like, it's really normal process. The trick is to understand the process so that you can come back into your body and, you know, work through the pain in a safe environment or a supportive environment or a, what's the word? I guess it helps you to heal quicker when you understand it, yeah? So we've got the shock, then there's kind of the bargaining, the denial stage, and then it's like hits the grief stage. So that's where the pain kicks in and you actually, you know, like crying or sad or, you know, like that's where that hits in. And then eventually the fourth stage is being able to like move on from the situation. Doesn't mean that you're happy, but you're able to get on with life again. And when you understand those 4 main stages of the grief cycle, it helps you to cope with any sort of change, okay? So whether it's something going on the planet on a large scale or in your own life or, you know, and it could be as simple as, you know, somebody arranging to meet up with you, right? And, and at the last minute they pull out, right? And you're just like, what? Oh my God. And then it's like it drops into the next one. It's like, so shock is like, oh my God, what? We're not meeting up now? And then the second one is like, oh, well, I should have known that from that person. Of course, that's how they were going to, of course they were going to, stop that contact. Of course they were going to cancel at the last minute, right? Is what I'm trying to say. So that's your bargaining, reasoning stage. And then it drops into the grief. It's like, sad, you wanted to meet up with them, you were looking forward to it. And then you're like, oh, well, okay, well, get on with, my day sort of thing. And it's like that can happen so quickly, and in that, that anger and denial stage, anger can be in there too. So it can be like, oh, well, pissed off because, they shouldn't have given me more notice or, so that anger is definitely part of the grief cycle in there too. Or, if we look at, say, bushfires or anything on a global scale, we get angry because we don't know what we could do about it and how can those people do that, and, that it's part of the grief cycle. So then when we, have that kind of little version there on a big scale, so say if somebody dies, it's the same thing, right? So, if somebody dies, you go into shock, you're like, no, I can't, this is not happening, I can't believe this, no, it's not happening, like, it's this complete shock denial, like, you're just kind of not in this world, you're like, just like blank or vacant, yeah, so easily disconnecting from self. And then, it's kind of like, it'll be like that anger, it'll be like, oh, I could have done something, or anger at self, or anger at somebody else, or anger at them for dying, and it goes through all these emotions, or like, oh, if I'd just done that, or helped them more, then they'd still be here, and, all this reasoning, and then the grief hits, that's the next stage, the third stage, and, that's when all the sadness will come out, and then we move into the fourth stage, you're not happy that they're not here anymore, but you will move on, eventually move on from, with your life, yeah? This doesn't mean that you don't miss them or anything like that. Now, the reason that I'm sharing these, 4 stages in these examples is because it gives you an idea of how to cope with change. So, and like I said, it can be something tiny and minute, from somebody cancelling on you at the last minute to something big like somebody dying from your life, or could be like moving house, could be a relationship breakup, could be change of job, career, anything, yeah? And it doesn't have to be something negative either. It can be something positive, okay? So it could be, so you released your new business idea, or you released, I don't know, something to do with your business, you, like moving house could be a positive thing. Like, it doesn't have to be negative. And the reason that I'm sharing this is because it's coping with change, it's coping with any change, positive, negative, it doesn't matter, right? Because change is constantly going through our life, like all the time. And when we can understand those 4 stages, it's like, hello, Ernesto. Is that how you say name? Ernesto from Maryland. Greetings. So it's like when we can understand the 4 stages of that grief cycle, it allows us to cope with change. Now, when I say cope, it's very I guess, touch and go, right? Because coping with something, you know, everybody deals with things differently. However, when we have that understanding of the 4 stages, roughly 4, you Google it and there's, you know, could be 4 to 6. The thing is as well, it might not come in that particular order, right? So like I said, it's like kind of shock, and then there's kind of denial, or, you know, step into bargaining, reasoning, the anger stage, and there's the grief, and then there's the moving on from it. So when something happens, it might kind of go into the grief straight away. You might start crying straight away, and then you get angry because you're like, oh my God, I could have stopped this. And then you're just like, I can't believe this is happening, right? So it doesn't have to be in that order, but it gives you an idea that these are the, I guess, process of emotions that happen. Now, in saying that, it's like, well, how quickly does this, you know, how long does it take, right? So if somebody has died, how long does it take you to move through these cycles or these stages? That is kind of an open-ended question. And, you know, like, how long should it take is, you know, kind of out of the picture too. As long as you're getting support from some sort of counselor, mentor, or somebody, because we all need help at times, especially when somebody has passed over. Yes, you can work through these emotions yourself and have that understanding and compassion. However, it's so important to get help just from somebody else, even if it's only once. And then the other thing is, you know, like if with a child, for example, to have more compassion, and this is, you know, understanding this coping with change method helps you to have more compassion for anyone, right? So if you're helping someone who's just gone through a car crash, you'll be like, wow, they're in shock. Okay, cool. And then they're going to start freaking out. And then they're, you know, and then they're going to start crying. And it's not like, you know, and then it can be for anything too. If you see someone crying on the street or anything like that, you could be like, oh, wow. You know, and it's not that you're like, oh, they're in this stage of the grief cycle, oh, I better help them, or anything like that. It just gives you more compassion in understanding human emotions to be able to have a bit more emotion. Like, you know, and when that happens, it's like, it's a lot less judgment for you to look onto that person and have that too, because you're able to understand that this is normal human emotion. This is what we go through. They will eventually move through it. Okay, it doesn't matter how long it takes. They will move through it, and you can just hold space for them without getting triggered, because you're like, oh, this is just quite normal, and they will move through it, and I can just be there for them. So, you know, if a child is upset and, you know, say something, their favorite toy breaks, right? They'll be like, they might start crying instantly. Then they might, you know, break into a fit of rage, and then they might just be like, you know, sad and depressed for a while, right? Because their favorite toy broke. Now, it's not that you have to go, oh, well, buy another one, it's okay, stop crying, just get on with it. No, 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 no. It's like, okay, I can, you know, support my child in the fact that they're in this whatever stage of the grief cycle. These are normal human emotions, and I can just be there for them, yeah? It enables you to cope with change for yourself and for other people. It enables a lot more love and compassion for yourself and for other people, right? And when we can have this deep understanding of these, you know, normal reactions to change. Now remember, change could be anything. It could be going a different direction to work one day on the road, yeah? It could be changing plans, it could be changing flights, it could be anything. Anything that changes will trigger this cycle, no matter how quick or long it takes to go through these emotions. When we can do that, so, you know, it helps us to cope with things easier. And if plans do change at the last minute, we're like, bing, okay, fuck, pissed off, or, you know, and then it's like move on to the next and move on to the next and move on to the next, right? Because then we know, and we're able to have that more compassion and holding space for people rather than that judgment, okay? So please let me know if you have any questions about coping with change, because having this understanding helps you, helps other people, and just allows for, I guess, a space to, what's the word, like let go of things rather than holding on to them, rather than thinking something's wrong, rather than judging it right or wrong, or this is good or bad, or it just like, okay, cool, right, this is the process, right? And it literally helps you to let go of shit, move on with your life, get back into happiness and joy a lot quicker. And even, you know, with the things in the world, right? So say for instance, you see the big hurricane, or you see the fires, or you see the wars, or you see the judgments of politics or whatever is going on, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. And like, you know, and then it's like, well, it's almost like this anger, but then it drops into powerlessness also, because we're like, well, what are we supposed to do with that, like, straight away? And there's kind of like a hopelessness, and we're like, oh, well, we'll just get on with our day. But then you might start feeling sad a bit later and you don't know why. And it's just like tuning in and checking in with your feelings, your heart, and just seeing, you know, like, okay, well, am I feeling sad that I feel like I can't do anything about it? Or, you know, where is that coming from? And being conscious that there is a lot going on in the world right now, today. And these changes will continue to happen. We can see that already in the past 6 months. There's been natural disasters, people, you know, going through so much change in themselves, politics, like there's so much, right? It's like one thing will happen and then all of a sudden there's another thing happening. And these are like massive things that are happening now. It's not just little things at the moment. So having that in mind will help you to cope with change, will help you to support people coping with change, you know, and just genuinely having more compassion, because the more we can hold that awareness that nothing's actually wrong, it's actually just change. And it only becomes good, bad, right or wrong when we make it so, and it makes it worse, right? But if we can just reframe it to go, okay, this is change. And this is normal human emotions for these people to be feeling this and this and this. So even, you know, slander on Facebook or backlash or blah, blah, blah. People are like, oh my fucking God, I can't believe they're doing that. And rah, I'm going to rip this person down and blah, blah. You can just see that they're in pain. If you haven't read my blog post from today, go and check it out. Because I spoke a lot about that in there. And, you know, just being conscious that these are all normal human emotions is going to allow us for holding space for ourselves, for other people, and this change that's going on the planet, the universe, you know, it's amping up, and it will continue to amp up. There will be a lot of lives lost, continue to be lost, homes will be destructed, you know, like just kind of accept it as normal and go, okay, so this is happening. We can't stop natural disasters, but we can learn to support each other as human beings on this planet, to have more compassion for all these normal human emotions to be rising up, and, you know, different stages of the grief cycle being triggered at different times. And when we can see and hold that space, that's when, you know, like this is, they talk about the new earth, and it's like, well, things haven't been shifting. And, you know, what's that? I don't know, what's that saying? I don't know what that word is. Maybe that's not even a saying, but, you know, from all bad things comes something good, and from, you know, structures needing to be rebuilt, they need to crumble first. So whatever that is going to look like is whatever is that going to look like. We kind of have no control over that, but we can control how we react to that and how we respond. Respond is the word rather than react. If you're still reacting, then go and check out my blog from today. I want to give you 3 simple steps to shift that for you. So it is your responsibility, right? Your responding ability to all the changes, to all the natural events in the world. And that is your key. That is your power. That's where you won't give your power away. That's where you won't fall down. And that you'll stay connected to your heart, to your intuition. And that's what the world needs right now. So, okay, getting to learn the tools to process and let go would be so great. I can see that for everything. Yeah, definitely. And in the blog that I wrote today, thanks. Pink makes me pop. I love this pink jacket. Yeah, in the blog post that I wrote today, if you go and check it out, and if you actually read it, in the number 1 point, I actually shared the number 1 most common question I get asked, that article, is how to let shit go. So that's in that article. You can go and check that out in my blog link. I'll put the link to my blog in this live stream too. It's on my website, www.realityawareness.com, so you can go and check that out. So if you really want to work deeper in that, plus Emily, you're already in there in Trust Your Intuition, is exact tools. So over 5 modules, you've got your self-paced online course, so you've got lifetime access to that. And, you know, there's 5 modules of exactly how to, you know, clear and heal the wounds that bind you, that keep you stuck in reactive mode rather than responding mode, and, you know, truly being able to stay in your heart space, plus stepping onto you and activating your life purpose by becoming more conscious of yourself. So Trust Your Intuition is the, like I said, 5 modules. self-paced online course. Doors close on the 29th of November, so you've got a little bit of time to get in there. However, this will be the last time you ever see Trust Your Intuition at this price. So if you want to get in there now, because you won't ever see it again at this price. So if you've got any questions, please comment below and I shall come back to this. If you think that this video can help anybody, please tell them about it. Please subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, please share it on social media. And I will post the link in the comments to Trust Your Intuition. Thank you for joining me live, and hope this helps you to cope with change and have more compassion for yourself and for the people around you, because we all are human, we all have emotions, and we all go through this, and it's all normal, right? So lots of love, keep it really real, namaste.